The tall shadow of Bukianiko stretches across the marble floor of history. Not with the clatter of a soldier's iron, but with the silent tread of a man who found his God in the stench of the infirmary. You, who once threw the dice against the world's hollow promises, found at last the only wager worth the soul, the desperate gamble of love given to the dying. It was a wound upon your own limb that would not close, a reminder of the fragility of the clay we inhabit. Yet it became the wellspring of a mercy that knew no bottom. You turned away from the vanity of the sword to embrace the broken rib, the labored breath, and the fevered brow of those whom the world had cast into the gutters of neglect. In the echoing halls of San Giacomo, where the air was thick with the scent of unwashed pain and the salt of tears, you did not see a beggar's rags or a leper's sores. You saw the King of Glory crowned in thorns, waiting for a cup of water and a hand to hold in the gathering dark. The red cross upon your breast was not a badge of war, but a herald of the blood that heals, a crimson geometry of hope, stitched into the very fabric of service. You taught us that the hands of the nurse are the hands of the priest, and the bed of the sick is an altar, where the sacrifice of patience is offered up in the incense of endurance. Your heart grew larger than the chest that held it, a cathedral of compassion, where every groan of the suffering was met with the litany of comfort. You did not flinch from the contagion's breath or the rot of the flesh, for you knew that the spirit is refined in the furnace of affliction, and that the greatest miracle is not the walking of the lame, but the love that stays when everyone else has fled. Through the long nights of the plague, when the city was a sepulcher and the living envied the dead, you were the lamp that did not flicker, the voice that whispered of a kingdom where there is no more mourning, and where every tear is wiped away by the finger of the Father. Give us your eyes, Camillus, to see the hidden dignity in the pale face of the impoverished and the trembling limbs of the aged. Let us understand that to serve the poor is to touch the very side of Christ, to feel the warmth of His presence in the cold rooms of the destitute. You were the giant of charity, stooping low to wash the feet of the forgotten, showing us that true greatness is found in the bending of the knee and the softening of the heart. The world measures power in gold and conquest, but you measured it in the weight of a body lifted from the dust, in the softness of the lint applied to a bleeding gash, and in the silence of a prayer offered for a soul on the threshold of eternity. Your legacy is not written in stone, but in the living tissues of those who care for the broken, in every hospital ward where the light of mercy breaks through the clouds of despair. May we carry the same flame that burned in your chest, a fire that does not consume but purifies, turning our selfish desires into a harvest of holy labor. In the quiet moments of the sick room, when the world feels distant and the shadows grow long, let your spirit remind us that we are never more like God than when we are serving the least of His children. You are the patron of the last hour, the friend of the final breath, the one who stands at the gate between this life and the next to ensure that no one crosses alone. Let our lives be a devotional song, a melody of mercy played on the strings of our daily deeds, echoing the rhythm of your own tireless devotion to the sick and the poor, until we too are gathered into that light, where the physician is the great healer, and every wound is a scar. Teach us the liturgy of the linen and the basin, the sacred architecture of a gentle touch, and the theology of a whispered word. In the midst of our modern speed, grant us the slowness of your deliberate care, the patience to wait with the restless, and the strength to carry the burdens of the weak. For in the face of the sufferer, we find the true mirror of our own humanity, and in the service of the poor, we find the only path that leads surely to the heart of the divine. Stand, Camillus, servant of the hidden Christ. May your red cross be the compass that guides us through the storms of indifference to the quiet harbor of eternal love.
The amber taper bleeds against the unpolished stone, while the violet veil of the season drapes heavily over the transept. It is 7 of the clock, that fragile hinge where the rest of the Sabbath begins to fray into the anticipation of the world's labor. And we are gathered in the hollow of the nave to weave a cord of sound that might tether the divine to this fleeting floor.
The air carries the scent of extinguished wax and the damp breath of the late winter rain, a Lenten chill that settles in the marrow of the wooden pews. We do not sing to the rafters, but to the dust, for it is from the dust that our voices rise in this recursive, circular pleading, an ostinato of the soul that refuses to let the hem of the garment slip through our collective fingers. Stay with me, for the shadows have grown long, and the wolves of the interior desert are beginning to howl at the gates of the mind. Remain here where the light is small but communal, where the flickering wick is the only cartography we possess in the thickening dark. We are a choir of shadows, our faces blurred by the penumbra of the sanctuary, our identities dissolved into the singular pulsing ache of the chant. There is no vanity in the throat, only the friction of the breath against the silence, a rhythmic tide that ebbs and flows around the central pillar of your presence. We repeat the petition not because you are deaf, but because we are slow to believe, needing the 100th iteration to finally convince the heart that the vacancy beside us is actually full. The Lenten path is narrow and paved with the grit of our own undone resolutions, yet in the 7 o'clock hour, the urgency of the dusk makes the prayer a necessity, as vital as the drawing of oxygen. Do not depart when the final candle is snuffed against the night. We occupy the Gethsemane of the Sunday evening, asking for the one thing the apostles could not provide: a wakefulness that survives the weight of the eyelids, a vigilance that outlasts the dying embers of the day. The harmony is a fragile architecture, a cathedral built of vibrating air and shared longing, where the alto's descent meets the tenor's climb in a mid-air embrace of sorrow and hope. We are singing the anatomy of the vigil, the anatomy of the weight. Each syllable of remain is a brick laid against the encroaching cold of the coming week's indifference. The music does not march, it spirals deeper and deeper into the center of the stillness, until the distinction between the singer and the song is bleached away by the intensity of the focus. It is the Sunday of the parched throat, the Sunday of the ash-marked brow, and we are holding on to the vibration of the word me, as if it were the last handhold on a cliffside. Stay with me. In the interruption of the silence, in the spaces between the pulses, in the terrifying quiet that follows the resolution of the minor key. Listen to the floorboards creaking under the weight of our bowed heads, a percussion of humility that underscores the vocal line. We are not asking for fire from heaven or the parting of seas, but for the quiet persistence of a shadow that stays when the sun has surrendered. The lyrics are a map of a territory we have walked for 40 days, a geography of hunger and the slow agonizing ripening of the spirit. As the clock ticks toward the end of the hour, the chant grows denser, a thicket of sound where the heart can hide from the hounds of worry. We are the Sunday night watchmen, keeping the flame of the stay alive against the gale of the go. Remain here in the resonance of the vaulted ceiling, in the cold texture of the hymnal, in the warmth of the neighbor's shoulder, whose breath joins ours in a desperate, beautiful unison. When the music eventually fades into the black velvet of the night, let the echo be the substance we carry into the dawn, a phantom presence that refuses to leave the room of our chest, a permanent with me that survives the silence of the stone. The amber light of 7 o'clock bleeds through the stained glass of the high clerestory, casting elongated shadows of indigo and violet across the worn oak pews, where the faithful gather in the hushed expectancy of the Lord's day's end. There is a specific stillness to the Sunday evening air, a scent of extinguished beeswax, and the faint lingering trace of morning incense, now cooled and settled into the very grain of the stone. The choir stands in the loft, a collective breath held in the transition between the secular world and the celestial chord. Their scores rustling like the wings of unseen birds before the first note cleaves the silence. This is the hour of the vesperal mystery, where the fatigue of the week meets the eternal promise of the woman clothed with the sun. Beginning in the quietude of a Galilean room, where the history of the world turned upon a single word of consent. In the first movement of the spirit, we recall the shadow of the Gabrielic wing, not as a thunderous arrival, but as a silver tremor in the stillness of Nazareth, a light that did not burn but invited the infinite to reside within the finite. The Annunciation is the architecture of the threshold, the moment the uncreated Word sought a dwelling of flesh, and the girl of Israel became the gate of the dawn. We sing of the dew falling upon the fleece of the secret garden enclosed, and the sealed fountain where the rivers of grace began their descent. The music here is slender and translucent, mirroring the fragility of a human fiat that carried the weight of the cosmos, a melody that climbs the ladder of the archangel's salutation until it rests in the hollow of her womb. The new ark where the law of love is written in the pulse of a beating heart. Then the rhythm shifts, the humble whisper of the handmaid swelling into the revolutionary fire of the Magnificat, the song of a soul that has become a mirror for the greatness of the living God. It is the chant of the lowlands rising to meet the peaks, a structural upheaval of the world's heavy hierarchies, where the proud are scattered like chaff in a gale, and the hungry are feasted at the table of the King. Here the choir finds its strength, the voices layering in a polyphony of justice and mercy, proclaiming the strength of an arm that pulls down the mighty from their gilded thrones. It is a canticle of holy paradox, where the emptiness of the poor becomes the vessel of divine plenitude. And the ancient promise made to the patriarchs finds its ultimate fulfillment in the lineage of a woman's yes, echoing through the rafters of the sanctuary like a storm of grace. As the sun dips further below the horizon and the candles flicker with a desperate golden intensity, the liturgy ascends toward the mystery of the Assumption, the final coronation of the flesh. We contemplate the body that bore the light, now drawn upward by the magnetism of love, transcending the gravity of the grave and the corruption of the earth. The music becomes a ladder of light, a series of rising cadences that mimic the celestial flight of the Queen. As she passes through the choirs of angels, her blue mantle trailing stars across the firmament. There is no decay in this garden, only the scent of lilies and roses that bloomed in the wake of her departure, a floral sign of the resurrection that awaits all who walk the path of her Son. She is the first fruit of the redeemed, the icon of a humanity fully realized, standing at the right hand of the Majesty on high. The Sunday 7 p.m. choir pours these mysteries into the cooling air, their harmonies acting as a between the temporal toil of the congregation and the eternal rest of the saints. The hymns are not merely echoes of the past, but living conduits of a presence that remains a marrying tapestry, woven from the threads of dawn, revolution, glory, as the final amen resonates within the hollows of the architecture not true the end, but sinks into the stones. A spiritual deposit for the week ahead. The choir descends, the lights are dimmed, and the silence returns. Yet it is a different silence than before. A silence now pregnant with the Magnificat's hope and the Assumption's promise. A quietude that knows the mother of the word is watching over the darkening world from her throne among the stars.
The amber descent of a Sunday 7 o'clock spills across the waxen floors of the nave, like honeyed oil from a broken jar of alabaster. Here the daylight surrenders its final breath to the creeping violet of the vesper hour, a liturgical twilight, where the architecture of grief meets the geometry of hope. The grand piano stands as a dark leviathan in the transept, its lid propped open like a wing, prepared for a flight that never leaves the earth but vibrates deep within its iron marrow. Each ivory key is a white tombstone waiting for the touch of a finger to resurrect a memory, a monochromatic between the silence of the cemetery and the resonance of the sanctuary. We gather not to bury the light, but to harvest the shadows left behind by those who have stepped through the thin veil of the tabernacle into the uncreated noon of the Creator. The first movement of our solace is a whisper of felt against string, a soft percussion that mimics the heartbeat of a mother now stilled beneath the parish sod. It is a Christian cartography of the soul, mapping the distance between the last rattling breath and the first alleluia of the kingdom. The choir inhales the scent of extinguished beeswax and damp stone, their throats forming a collective chalice to hold the vintage of our sorrow. They sing not of the end, but of the transition, a melodic theology where the minor key of the funeral mass dissolves into the major resolution of the resurrection. Each voice is a thread of silver pulled through the needle of the present moment, stitching the names of the departed into the tapestry of the communion of saints. 8 times the melody shifts its weight from the shoulder of mourning to the hip of grace. 8 stations of a musical cross, where we find the strength to remain standing when the earth has claimed its portion. The second song arrives with the gravity of Gregorian stone, yet lightened by the piano's cascading arpeggios that fall like rain upon a parched garden. It is the Catholic heart beating in time with the Latin rhythms of the Requiem Aeterna, a plea for perpetual light that ignores the clock on the vestry wall. 7 o'clock is merely a threshold, a chronological gate where the secular week expires and the eternal Sabbath begins its reign. In the low register of the bass singers, we navigate the 3rd and 4th echoes with the precision of a rosary being told in the dark. Each note a bead, each pause a prayer for the repose of those who taught us how to sign the cross.
The piano does not merely play. It interrogates the silence, asking why the lilies must wither while the stone remains. The choir answers in a polyphonic wave, a sea of human breath that washes over the pews, carrying the scent of incense and the salt of tears. There is no haste in this Sunday evening, only the deliberate unfolding of a grief that has been sanctified by the promise of the empty tomb. We see the faces of the gone in the flickering votives, their features traced in the vibrations of the cello-like hum of the baritones. By the fifth and sixth hymns, the solace has become a tangible garment, a shroud woven of harmony that warms the shivering spirit. The piano's high treble begins to mimic the bells of a distant cathedral, calling the lost home through the fog of their own bereavement. This is the memorial of the mundane made magnificent, the sanctification of ordinary lives that were lived in the quiet corners of the pews. We sing for the bakers and the teachers, the silent fathers and the praying grandmothers, their legacies now vibrating in the vocal cords of their children. The music is a ladder of Jacob, reaching from the dust of the funeral parlor to the gold of the celestial city, and we climb it with every soaring soprano line. The seventh song is a stillness that speaks louder than the fortissimo of the world, a piano Sunday meditation where the hammers barely kiss the wire. It is the sound of a soul settling into the arms of the Good Shepherd, a Catholic lullaby for those who have finished the race and kept the faith. The choir's volume tapers to a holy murmur, the sound of wind through the cypress trees of a Mediterranean graveyard here. The sorrow is no longer a jagged flint, but a polished river stone, smooth to the touch and heavy with the weight of a life well loved. We are the stewards of this resonance, the keepers of the flame that refuses to be quenched by the coming night. The eighth and final resolution is a monumental architecture of sound, a cathedral of voices built upon the firm foundation of the piano's deep pedal tones. It is 7:30 now, and the darkness outside is absolute. Yet within these walls, the music has ignited a fire that the night cannot comprehend. The choir expands to the limits of the vaulted ceiling, an explosion of Christian certainty that mocks the finality of the grave. We stand in the debris of our own mortality and sing a defiance of the shroud.
The dust of ours is not common clay, but a pulverized history of 100,000 footsteps, each treading a path of limestone and sorrow toward a wooden box that held the gravity of a world. He sat there while the sun rose in a pale sliver over the French fields and remained until the stars grew weary of watching the earth, a sentinel of the violet stone whose only weapon was a whisper. It was not the grandeur of cathedrals that summoned the desperate, nor the ringing of silver bells, but the quiet rasp of a man who ate the bread of the poor and drank the tears of the penitent as if they were wine. In that narrow enclosure of oak and shadow, the air grew thick with the